what's up guys? I hope everyone is doing fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in. In this episode of the SilverScreen Cinecast, we're going to be talking movie news. We have a ton of headlines to dive into, so let's just get right into it. First up, we have it being reported that Michael Fassbender is likely to return as Magneto for X-Men Dark Phoenix. For those of you who love Fassbender as Magneto, you can breathe a possible sigh of relief, as Fassbender said in a recent MTV podcast that he will likely be on board for the X-Men Dark Phoenix film, originally titled Supernova. The franchise did attempt this story arc loosely in 2006's X-Men The Last Stand, and we all know the reception was not so great, so hopefully a more devoted and a more developed script to the arc will do it some proper justice. But regardless, Fassbender may be back, and he will be wearing his purple helmet and bringing his supercharged tear ducts with him. Next up, it's been reported Arnold Schwarzenegger will be playing a hitman in the upcoming comedy We're Killing Gunther. Taron Killam from Saturday Night Live is working to direct, star, and produce a film that's based on a script he also wrote. Arnold Schwarzenegger is set to play a hitman in this story that is supposed to be set in the world of international assassins, and How I Met Your Mother star Kobe Smulders, who is Killam's wife, is also attached to this action comedy that is hoping to start shooting in June. Next up, let's talk Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who wants to, quote, build out on the Fast and Furious franchise. Love or hate these films, and despite how ridiculous they have grown to be, and despite some honestly mixed reviews for The Fate of the Furious, it's still easily past $1 billion worldwide at the box office, but many, including myself, feel the Dominic Toretto character had already ran its course when Johnson reinvigorated the franchise a few films ago. But since then, Diesel's character of Toretto has continued to fizzle out, and I think the charm of Johnson is hard to miss. Johnson's chemistry with Statham was also a surprise to everyone, and they were easily, in my opinion, as well as many others, the best thing about the 8th film. So with the spin-off in the works that's going to focus on Johnson and Statham's characters, I think this is going to breathe a breath of fresh air into a franchise that I think has gone far enough on bad acting and soap opera story arcs that are being overshadowed by wild action set pieces. Next up, Hellboy is getting a reboot with Stranger Things' star David Harbour attached as the lead. After years of subtle campaigning for Hellboy 3 by Guillermo del Toro, the character will be finally getting another film, but this time it's going to be in the form of a reboot without Toro or Perlman attached. This news was added to with some promo art that was released at Cannes last week, showing the titular character as well as revealing the working title of being Hellboy: Rise of the Blood Queen. This film appears to be moving forward very quickly with a 2018 release date penciled in. Stranger Things' star David Harbour is set to play Hellboy, which I think is a great casting choice. I would always prefer to see Perlman in the lead, but Harbour is a strong candidate, and I think he can thrive in this role, with it being said the film is looking for an R-rated, more horror movie style. Next up, it's being reported Zac Efron is slated to play serial killer Ted Bundy. The upcoming biopic, titled Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, with Joe Berlinger attached to direct, looks like it's ready to go, has Zac Efron in the lead, who from all appearances looks like he's perfect for the role of playing serial killer Ted Bundy, who used his looks and charm to lure his female victims. I think this could be a great fit and a breakout role for Efron, who in recent years has been typecast as the hunky college guy, whether it be in the form of the partier or the preppy guy. It didn't really matter, but I think he does have some comedic chops, and he delivers a definite charm with his performances. So if he can portray that sinister side to the role and really sell himself as that deranged killer with believability, it could really even open up more doors for Efron. It looks like principal photography for Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile is set to begin this October, so let's see how it turns out. Next up, it looks like Batgirl could be the next big DCEU female superhero to get a solo film. According to Variety, Joss Whedon is assured to start working on a Batgirl solo film that will have connections to the DCEU. He will also be writing and producing this film that is reported to be looking to expand on the Gotham ties with the cinematic universe, and I think this news should be exciting to anyone, as Batgirl is one of the most iconic female comic book heroes and more than worthy of a film on her own that could continue to solidify the value of female-led comic book films. And I think Whedon being attached to this film should also be great news for all DC fans, as it is well known what he created with Marvel in the MCU, and given his ties were severed with Marvel due to behind-the-scenes interference, I'm hoping, and it should be safe to say, Warner Brothers is going to give him some creative freedom, but time will tell when this film gets going into production. It's going to be fun to see how this film ties in with the Nightwing movie, as well as the Gotham City Sirens films that are also set for a future greenlight. Next up, it's being reported Sylvester Stallone and Jackie Chan are set to team up for an action thriller out of China. After recently cutting ties with the Expendables franchise, one he helped build, it should be noted, over creative differences, Sylvester Stallone looks to be moving on to his next project, this one being with longtime friend Jackie Chan. The film has a working title of Ex-Baghdad, and it's been reported by Deadline that the film will be a Chinese action film with a budget of $80 million. That's not much here in the States, but that's a massive budget in the Chinese film market, so it's going to be fun to see Stallone and Chan in this film that is reported to be full of action and stunts, and despite how awesome this film would have been maybe 20 years ago, it still sounds very entertaining now, and it's going to be fun to see it when it's released. Next up, Tom Hardy is set to play Venom in Sony's future cinematic universe. It was recently announced Tom Hardy will be taking on another comic book villain, this time as Venom in his own solo film that will also serve as the foundation for Sony's cinematic universe. The film is slated for an October 2018 release date, and it's also supposed to tie in with the Black Cat and Silver Sable film that Sony also recently said was moving forward. And I think Hardy is going to thrive in this role as he shows effort in every persona that he takes on, and he's also going to give this spin-off universe of films that Sony wants to get off the ground some viable star power. The Venom solo film also has a director lined up with Zombieland's Ruben Fleischer, so things are certainly looking on the up for this project. Next up, let's talk Dwayne Johnson once again, who says he wants Armie Hammer to play Shazam. The Rock is already slated to play comic book villain Black Adam in the upcoming DCEU Shazam film, and it was another odd newsworthy note when it was announced he's going to be getting his own solo film as well. But Shazam has been in the mix for some time now and has had little movement other than Johnson's casting as the lead villain. To this date, there is still no word on who is going to play Shazam, but in a recent interview with We Got This Covered, Johnson was not shy about dropping some solid hints about who his choice would be, and with the words Lone Ranger, it was clear his pick would be that of Armie Hammer. I think this would be a fantastic casting selection because while the Lone Ranger was a well-known box office flop, Hammer was not the problem in my eyes, and he is more than capable of delivering all the charm and energy of a leading comic book hero, but it's going to be interesting to see if The Rock's not-so-subtle hints will have any effect. And in our final news nugget of the day, Arnold Schwarzenegger says Terminator 6 is moving forward. While talking to Screen at the Cannes Film Festival, Arnold Schwarzenegger said that he has had talks with James Cameron about the future of the long-running Terminator franchise. Schwarzenegger says he's going to be in the sixth film in some way or the other, and that Cameron has some, quote, good ideas about how to continue on with the franchise. It looks like Cameron is going to be serving as the producer, and it has been reported that Deadpool director Tim Miller is attached to this film, and that it looks like it's going to be a reboot. Myself, I enjoyed parts of Terminator Genesis, but it definitely had some flaws. I think I found it much more entertaining than most did, so a reboot could be the best thing right now, and it's going to be interesting to see how this transpires going forward. And that's my movie news nuggets of the day, guys. Let me know in the comments below which of these topics are of an interest to you. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, guys, this has been another SilverScreen Cinecast. I'm Anthony, and I'll see you guys next time.